Hey, Doug Smith, joined by Will Lowry, back at it again for another episode of Beyond the Fairway podcast. Hey, if you haven't heard, Beyond the Fairway, we bring a point of view from a different clubhouse. We take you beyond the scores and the highlights to discuss a game of golf and its barriers for minorities and this emerging new culture. Hey, coming up on this week's episode, Will and I are joined by my man, my former coach, whatever you want to call him. Sean Foley's coming in here, Will. And I don't know if I'm all the way prepared to talk to Sean, because you know Sean is on a different wavelength than his reverberation is way different than mine. But we're gonna bring him in here, man. What's going on, Will?
Sean's a complete, a true intellect.
He is, no doubt.
He's I've never been as intimidated by an interview as what we're about to face. I'm really gonna keep my mouth shut on this one because he's not gonna expose me, not this time.
Okay. Well, hey, look, when we do get into the interview, we caught up with Sean during the week of the players. We caught up earlier in the week, so you may hear some noises and some sounds, but he did a great job of joining us and just was there on property, Ponte Vedra Beach, TPC Sawgrass, live action. So talking about that event, Will, JT said, you know what? Let me come in here and just take this trophy from all of y'all who forgot that I was here.
Yeah, man. I think, JT's starting to get on that different level. We all know he's a winner. We all know he has won, but he's starting to get to a different level. I don't know if say Tiger-ish, but Tiger kinda in a way. Won $2.7 million yesterday. But I think one of the things
that's the biggest purse in golf, right? That's a lot.
Has got to be. But one thing, what makes me say that he's going to a different level, the stuff that he's doing to capture these championships is different. He's not playing to hope I play well enough to win. He's like, no, I want it, so this is what I have to do to win. I thought one of the more impressive things that I noticed on Sunday was on 16 when he had to do that drive around the corner where he did a drill draw with the driver on 16, man. I thought that was pretty amazing, man, because he stepped up and did what he had to do. I want to say he birdied, he went 5 under through 4 holes, or through 4 holes straight, he went 5 under. So those are stuff that puts you to a different level, and I am so excited to see what JT has to do with these majors, man. I think we got one more major this year.
And first of all, here's the thing: if I put my club fitting hat on, when I look at JT, the shot that he hit on 16, everybody marvels at this shot. Will, look, let me tell you something. That was a toe hook. That was not what he was trying to do. He got away with some trash. You know what? And he did it again with a 5-wood on 18. He hit a toe slinging hook that got a great bounce in the fairway. So everybody talks about this low ball that JT was hitting. Look, those were snap hooks that he banged off the toe that he just so happened to aim 80 yards right so that it could happen. And it just made me mad.
There was no snap hook.
No, bro, I'm looking at, shout out to NBC and everybody, but I heard Fairway talking about, and we need to bring him in here so I can call him out.
Hold on, did I miss it? Hold on, Doug. On which hole you saying
I'm talking 16 and 18.
There wasn't no damn toe hook.
Let me tell you something.
Toe hook, Doug. There wasn't no toe hook. Let me tell you why it wasn't a toe hook.
He hit it 293 and it rolled 60 yards. It was a diving toe hook that probably spun at 1100.
No, because he teed up on the right part of the tee box, and it was not a toe hook. It wasn't a toe hook.
Go look at the shot tracer.
The shot tracer told me he hit a nice booming drill draw.
It went 293. He's a 300 plus kind of cat, and it rolled 60 yards. 63 yards.
I don't care what you're talking about. I know what I saw. Whatever. I know what he meant to do. Now, what was really
he was in play. Now he's still in play. I'm not saying he was in play.
He was in play. He was in play.
It was.
I give you that. But the thing about it though, the guy is growing. The guy is growing.
He's definitely growing.
Becoming on that different level. And 18. Talk about 18. So 18. You said it was a drill. That
was a toe snap.
Okay, I give you that. 18. I give you that one. I give
you
that
saw his face like, oh shit.
Yeah, and that was a lucky bounce to kind of shoot it forward down the fairway. I give you that one, but
that one rolled 60 yards too. I'm just saying he hit it 313. So here's the thing: he toe snap hooks a driver at 293, and then he toe snaps a 5-wood at 313.
He didn't toe snap it. It was that's what champions do.
Where the producers at, man? Somebody bring Justin in here so he can defend it. He toe snap, Shank hooked it.
Well, whoop, there it is. He won.
All right, well,
He won.
You know what? He did. And shout out to JT overcoming some of his recent battles and tribulations. Grandfather passed, backside of some unluck with the media. But I do want to talk about something I saw this weekend, Will, and I'm gonna need some context. Hey, Brian Riley, go ahead and cue this up because I saw you and Steph. I know it's an old video, but I saw you get your ankles cracked. Look, let's play the video real quick. I want your feedback. I don't even know we have
video.
Play the video, man. Let's go ahead and cue it.
Will stand in front though.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. All right, let me get in context. First and foremost, I had tight pants on. I didn't expect that to happen. I had low cut shoes on. Nike didn't send me my ankle braces that night. So it wasn't. That explained why I had 19 more followers because I think Complex Sports. Shout out to Complex and Complex Sports for tagging me in that. But it was his birthday yesterday, and I guess they need a little satisfaction, whatever. But for the record,
that was not a toe hook. Because you was on your heels. You was on your heels, homie.
Man, for the record, let me give you some context behind that. First and foremost,
I'm waiting.
So
tight pants.
We're playing. We're shooting. Shout out! Happy birthday to Steph Curry. I just turned 33. So we were shooting back in the locker room or whatever that was, practice facility. And I said, Steph, when your wrist gets right. This is when he was in his injury last year.
Just last year.
I said, when your wrist gets right, I want to see you on this hoop court. Because you always want to see me on the golf. He never beat me in golf a day in his life. Never in his life he has beaten me.
And so, Steph in here.
And so I'm like, bro, I want to see you hooping one good time. And this is how I know he's a good basketball player. Because
he's the MVP a couple times?
No, not that. I don't look at Steph as a hooper like that. So anyway, he went to this focus mode. And he said, you can see me now. I was like, uh-oh. But he didn't know I scored. I did score on him as well, and he fouled me a couple times because I went around and hit him my hands were so nice.
I feel like he saw you, and then you saw the floor. So
I did. And one of the worst moments of the whole video, not the falling, is when Steph made the basket and the ball fell right in my chest. That was the worst moment of the whole damn entire video, bro. So.
Oh man, yeah. Hey, that's funny. And shout out to Complex Sports for calling you out, my co-homie in here. I love that. Hey, y'all wanna get to this Foley interview? Let's go ahead and do that.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm ready to learn something. I got my pad and pen right now.
Sean Foley.
I got my dictionary too.
Sean Foley, you're up next. Let's go beyond the fairway.
I crossed him though, Doug. I did.
Hey, Beyond the Fairway podcast, Dougie Fresh, Will. We got a special guest. You already see who it is. The world famous, the infamous, the legendary, coaching in his b-boy stance. Sean Foley, what's going on, my friend?
I'm good, bud.
That was like, hold on, easy. That was too much.
I got a guy at 11 over and a guy at 1 over, so I don't feel like the legendary Sean Foley today.
But you're still coaching in your b-boy stance. I don't care what nobody says.
That's a fact.
I love it.
Hey, Sean, as we get started here, I want to go back, take you all to 2017. You and I back at the range, getting busy. One thing that I learned quick from you is you are a very real guy. Like there's no corners with you. It's all straight lines. So we're having a lesson. You had just changed my grip, which I was a little mad at, but I'm just, I was hitting it good. I hit a shot to 50 feet from 200 yards. I one-handed the finish. And you told me you must be the best damn player in the world. And I looked at you and I was like, what do you mean? Like how you said tour average is 42 feet. You whiffed it and hit it 50 feet and you're complaining. Now, what I want to ask you about, Sean, is how much of your job is the X's and O's of the swing versus just expectation management?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think at this level that it's that much about the swing. obviously you have beginner golfers. It's a lot about the swing. Amateur golfers, 20 handicaps, there's things that they need to continue to learn. But out here, I mean, you're on the PGA Tour or the level you were at as a player. What happens is when people believe their level is higher than it is, and then you go and play golf every day, and golf shows you the truth to where your skill set is, all the frustration just comes from the fact that you don't see yourself properly. So the fact is like, in your case, when you said that day, and I've been dealing with this for a long, long time, is no one out here is okay with mediocrity. Their goal is to have minimal negative outcomes. So somebody who would technically hit it to, say, 42 feet every time and just be happy with it, they might not push themselves enough to become great. So it's just a balance. Like, so most men I teach think they're better than they are, and most of the girls I teach don't realize how good they are. And if that's not woven into the social fabric of cognitive bias, and you got to remember, right? Society ain't getting it right. We've never got it right. So
Never.
Who really truly knows themselves? Who understands that they come from like pure consciousness? And people don't. So we become our story. We become our narrative. Golf becomes our identity, our world ranking, our FedEx Cup rank. And now all of a sudden we're out on the golf course and our brain is looking for the saber-toothed tiger and we're just playing golf.
I kind of want to interject. You said, understanding yourself. What type of formula do you have, or any type of thing you kind of cook up in the kitchen, type of language you speak, and each individual player you have, how do you help them find themselves? How do you help them step into their true identity when it comes to the game of golf?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's anything you build. I just walked the back nine with Cameron Champ, and I saw about, 50 little babies sitting in the stroller, right? And all those babies are smiling and cute and waving to strangers and blowing kisses. And it's like, over the next 20 years, they either become monsters or they're not. So I don't think human beings are born with a lot of hardware. I think we're all software. And when I say that, it's like, if you look at a deer in the wild, a deer is a deer like in 2 days. But how long is it going to be before my 9-year-old son could literally survive on his own? So we're born with a lot of software. And that's why, experience, environment, influence is just so massive. And so I think what happens is we're all born, we all have the solution. I mean, just think about even when you're going through difficult times, how many points in that day you don't feel like that. So my son is 9, and when he was 8, my dad was at our house, and he came home from school, and he said, "Kieran, how you doing today?" And he said, "Poppy, I'm happy." And he says, "Well, what are you so happy about?" He said, "I don't know. I'm just happy." And so the next day he came home from school and he walked in and my dad asked him how he was doing. And he said, "I'm angry." And my dad said, "Okay, well, what are you angry about?" He said, "Well, this kid in class was not listening to the teacher. And then I stood up for her. And then at lunch, the other kids wouldn't hang out with me. And then my gym coach got upset at me." And so here's the deal. He couldn't explain why he was happy, but he knew why he was mad.
Damn.
So the deal is like when people say, these players, they need to have patience and self-belief and all that. There's plenty of times in the day I have patience, but I'm not sitting there going, "Okay, be patient." I just am. That is to me the default mechanism in human beings. I'll give you an example. Look at the Bahamas with that hurricane, right? So look, third world countries are third world countries because no one cares. There's no reason they have to be a third world country, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all ex-colonies, and people took their resources and did that. Now, all of a sudden, the Bahamas has been a third world country forever because no one cares. And now a hurricane hits the island. Next thing you know, private jets are flying from all over the U.S. with products and water and all these different types of things. So when push comes to shove and tragedies happen, that's when we see that our default mechanism is from the heart. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. It's from the heart. Yeah. These guys out here, when they're not playing well, it's not mental, dude. They've lost their love for the game. I mean, we all grow up paying to play golf and we love it. And then we get paid to be a part of it and we're miserable. I mean, where's the math in that? So, these are the types of things like you have to stop being who you aren't to become who you are. You're already who you are. So if you can look at the narrative and the story and the bullshit messages that you tell yourself. And then with the sense of forgiveness, understand that so much of that was in you before you could even spell society.
Damn, yeah.
And so
I get that, man.
This isn't about
That's heavy.
changing. This isn't about changing. This is about evolving. And I've done a lot of work. Like I've spent a lot of money working with people all around the world to understand these processes. And after I really got dialed in and delved deep into it, I just realized, like, I just paid to realize I'm naturally like this. And so, you know, but the thing is, though, too, is you got to also understand, right? Like, I've had a great life, but I've had a hard life. And I don't understand why it can't be hard and great. And that's the synonym, right? Like, that's the synonym. So, you know, when we look at our heroes and what they tried to accomplish, I mean, Dr. King and Malcom X, they died for what they believe. So what am I willing to do out here? And so if that means that in this world of yes men, if I have to get in a player's face, and it's going to come from a place of love, and I'm going to assess where I'm at in my own head before I do it. And if it feels like it's coming from a good place, then I have to say that to the player. And they're saying, you know, well, I'm too negative out there and I'm really tense. You know, I need to be more positive. And I'm like, no, dude, you just need to feel the sun on your neck, and you need to look at the crowds, and you need to appreciate how far you've come. It ain't about being positive. I mean, positivity to me is like spraying cologne on dog. It's not. Look, if I'm hitting it terrible, I can stand on the tee and say, you know what, Doug, I'm a good guy and I'm a good person. I'm going to hit this shot good. But look, if my club face is open to the path every time I swing, I'm going to hit it right.
You're going to hit it right every time.
Right.
Now, Sean, you said something interesting right there, though. I want to dump into something, because you mentioned Malcolm, you mentioned Martin. Now, I know for a fact that you encourage your players from all walks of life to read the autobiography of Malcolm X. What I want to know is, what is it in that book, in that narrative, in the story of Malcolm, what is it that you hope that your players or the people around you, your peer group, get out of this book?
It's just
how's it going to help their golf game?
It's not aggressiveness, is it?
No. It's just it's the sheer wisdom that came from the struggle. Like the level that he got to in consciousness could not have come on the beach. He had to go through it to get to it. The constant evolution and re-evolution of a man who goes from, you know, a young man to a hustler in Harlem to going to jail.
Getting his hair relaxed. You got to remember that part.
All that. And all the way up to the point that he's then the head speaker of the Nation of Islam. And then he goes to Mecca and realizes he's been lied to, and now comes back. And look, as soon as white people started going to his speeches, that was it. They ended him. So I think if Malcolm had went on to grow to like 95 years of age, he probably would have been one of the most influential human beings ever. And so that's a story of hardship and growth. And look, everyone out here wants to be on top of the summit. Everyone wants to climb to the top of Mount Everest, but no one is willing to get frostbite. And you can't do one without the other at 29,000 feet. So that's the thing. It's like, you know, I've said this before, you know, being married is hard. Being divorced is hard. Playing good is hard. Playing bad is hard. And you have a choice to choose your hard, because it's going to be hard. And so I just feel like the overwhelming kind of thought process in this self-help world of the 8 steps to happiness, the 9 steps to enlightenment, that's not what it is. I mean, how is a book on happiness 400 pages? So I think we get stuck. And so to me, happiness doesn't come from not having problems. Happiness comes from solving problems. And the problem out here is so many of these guys were naturally so good at golf, is that self-esteem is low because a lot of the levels weren't earned. They weren't earned. So I feel very competent in what I do. I have a lot of self-belief, and I know what my limits are because, man, you know what? I had frostbite in every limb. You know, I had the hardest times, and I pushed through. And the only 2 words that matter in life is just to show up. Just show up and wait. I mean, that's it. Like, I can wake up and be concerned about how the players are going to play and all that. I embrace that feeling. And as soon as I embrace it, then I move on. I'm not trying to repress it and be like, I don't feel like that. You know, I'm a man. I don't feel weakness. No, I sense the weakness. I embrace it, but I don't capitulate to it.
Yeah. And you got all that from this autobiography of Malcolm X. Like I'm saying, when you read it and you want to impart these wisdoms to the folks, you got all of this from that book.
Yeah, well, what I do is we go over what we learned about it. I mean, Mandela's long walk to freedom. I mean, dude, that guy sat in jail for over 25 years because of what he believed in. So you think all these activists on social media are going to cause any change or influence? What, because they repost a post and say, that's how I feel? Like, I'm glad they're sharing it, but hey, dude, nothing's going to change from your Twitter account.
Who was more impactful to you? W.E.B. Du Bois, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, I want to say Marcus Garvey. Who was more impactful? Who? Because we know the stance of Marcus Garvey. He was on the separation, kind of be independent. We know W.E.B. Du Bois was preaching equality. So him and Booker T. Washington were kind of always at heads in their beliefs. Who was more impactful? In your sense, from your point of view, your vantage point. Yeah.
Got to be Malcolm.
Got to be Malcolm.
Okay. That's my second son's middle name. So it's Garvey, amazing. Like, just out of this world, like so far beyond. I think the only mistake was the whole Haile Selassie thing that he made.
Absolutely.
But how would you know, right? I'm not really big into like talking about prophets and stuff like that. That's to me, that's like talking about astrology. Du Bois. I would say currently right now, to me, I really love Ta-Nehisi Coates because he is. Wow. He writes as beautifully as Baldwin. Baldwin's big to me too, by the way.
Baldwin's huge.
He's intense like Malcolm. He's intellectual like Du Bois.
Iron fist with a velvet glove.
He's amazing. I mean, he get, every time I think about him, I get goosebumps. Currently Michelle Alexander, she wrote the most important book that's ever been written on the new Jim Crow laws, as far as it relates and pertains to what's going on. And look, I know a lot of people, man, who, if they read that, they'd be really, really offended and bothered and want to do something about it. But the fact is, they don't know, dude. They're too busy watching the Kardashians and the housewives or whatever. And, I guess it makes them feel better about what they're going through to see someone's like more crazy. I don't get it. But yeah, I don't know what drew me in that direction. Obviously, my parents were big readers, so they kind of made it mandatory that I learned about all these things. But I don't know what drew me in that direction. But when you have consciousness that comes out of like such struggle, then that's true wisdom. I mean, my kids are going to be pretty, they're going to be pretty fortunate. They got a mom and dad who can support them financially and spiritually and health-wise, and they're going to have no option. But when someone comes out of the swamp and they've had no influence and they found it out on their own, man, that's some special stuff, dude.
Can you talk to us a little more about the TSU experience? Given the fact that you went to a historical Black university, and you were a minority at that time. So can you talk to us about I guess the plight of Sean Foley during that 4-year experience?
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys are both sharp. You can probably imagine that the first couple of years were not easy.
Yeah.
So are we saying like
State too?
Are we saying like a ass load of microaggression?
Oh, but not even microaggression. I mean, I dusted myself off the floor every day. I mean, and then sometimes literally and physically. So I'm Canadian. It's not like that in Canada. It doesn't mean that it's perfect, but it's definitely not that way. And so, because I had read and understood the plight of the systemic aspects and the institutions that were built upon it. I mean, 66% of the U.S. economy up until basically 1870 is built on the backs of people who don't have equal rights. Like, what's wrong with admitting that? Like, why can't we talk about that? So I got it. But yeah, it was a lot of people were great to me, and then there was a lot of payback. And I kind of appreciated it. And then I just knew if I could get through it, that nothing else ever would be anything but a breeze. And it's kind of been like that. And so I'm really grateful for how difficult it was, because I didn't learn anything about myself, but I mean, what makes a Navy SEAL different than the rest of the military is they train them in the most difficult way. That's it. So if you can make it, then you're special, and that's your special forces just because you make it. So I think that when you look at like what I learned, it's very important if you're going to have empathy and understand what people go through. And I think a lot of people out there are trying to, but until you feel it, you can't explain it. It's like trying to tell someone it's like to have your first child. It's not possible. So to walk into classrooms and to walk around campus and to go to parties and be guilty till proven innocent, because at that point, all I am right there is a direct reflection of what they think I am. And
he was the white dude.
That comes from the bias. That simple. that comes from the cognitions, the bias. So that's a major point, is when you know what it feels like, man, you would never treat anyone like that again. And it didn't take long. It didn't take long before people started to realize what I was like. I mean, I was almost more radical than half the people at the school. So
no, that's right.
This
motherfucker crazy.
But I had a girlfriend who was an AKA, and I went home for Thanksgiving with her, and her dad opened up the door, man, and I took a Greyhound bus home. I mean, that type of feeling, man, I treated her like a queen, man. What else would you want for your daughter than that? So I don't have to explain it to you guys. You face it and deal with it every day. And you know what? After a while, you just kind of get alligator skin to it, and you realize it's unfortunate that people see the world like that, because their experience and their awareness and their observations is just not going to be as abundant. If every time someone walks by me and I think I know what they're about, I mean, I'm probably going to avoid having like really necessary great relationships. You know what? There was a great thing I saw on social media the other day, and it was this brother, and he had like this neck tattoo, and he had dreads, and he was definitely country. And
so it was Will, is what you're saying?
Yes. Well, it wasn't Will, but yeah, ish, right? And he says, hey, and he's kind of hard, right? He's like, hey, everyone, I like sunsets. My mom passed away. I miss her. I don't think I'm doing a good enough job as a dad. Sometimes I don't know what to say to my wife. I like vanilla ice cream. I like the odd cheeseburger. And I like sunsets. Does that sound like anyone you know? And so if you put that on mute, and then you grow up in a society like this with so much cognitive bias, if you put that on mute, I mean, dude, a lot of people in this country, their idea of an African-American male is the TV show Cops. So what do you think they're going to think? They haven't met you. They haven't met Will. They haven't met all the different people that we know. So I think that they asked Mandela one time, how do you handle, such overt racism and such difficult things? And Mandela said, it just helps me to remind myself that everyone is doing their best from their own level of understanding.
Well, how do you manage it, Sean? If that's Mandela's take, what's Sean Foley's take?
Oh, man, I ask myself on a daily basis what my heroes would do in this situation. Because sometimes it's hard to see yourself in the moment. So it's, that's my players are, losing perspective and struggling and doing this and doing that. And, my natural reaction is to be like, dude, like, grow up, like, look at your life. But the other part of me says, okay, what would Mandela do? And Mandela would lessen his tone. He would become more open. He would put himself posturally in a position of servitude, and he will work through it. And that's it. And then that's the only thing that works. Like, yelling at people don't like listen more when you do that. So you got to keep the main thing about the main thing. And
I might need to put that in my marriage.
You got to coach. You got to coach. You got to coach. You got to coach the player. I think I know what the best version of them looks like, but it's really arrogant for me to think that they should see the same. So you lead by action. There's not a single person on the PGA Tour is ever going to look at me on any given day and have any idea how my guys are playing. Because you know what? I mean, what's the use? Like fist pumps and club slams. There's only a few things in this world we should be emotional about, and it's certainly not our job.
So you just spoke on action. This new wave of diversity, equity, inclusion, especially surrounding the PGA Tour. What's your thoughts on the action that are being taken place right now?
Look, like, something's better than nothing. And I think that people are trying to learn and they're trying to understand it. And I think, I think they're making progressive steps. I think up until now, it's always been a photo op. But Jay Moynihan has done a fantastic job with reaching out to people to really understand, what it is that's going on. And these things don't change quickly, but just to see the steps and the focus that he's taken, all the hours he spent on the phones trying to understand it. It's not necessarily his fault that he doesn't understand. A lot of people can't believe that these things go on because it's not really around them. And if you're focused on your own career and you're trying to be great, you got the blinders on and you're doing it. So the fact that the head of the PGA Tour has been reading and listening and interviewing people and trying to understand it, that's massively important. I mean, obviously the corporate partners, during the time of BLM, there was a lot of really, really positive support from corporations. So, you know what? Is it the end of something or is it the start of something? I'm not sure, but I think that they're doing the right things. Look, it's all about awareness, man. It's all about awareness. And if people don't know, then people don't know. And the news doesn't help. Like every time I'm in Orlando and you turn the local news on, it's always some brother getting arrested for something, but you know that white people are doing the same things. Right. So people get to the point where you only know what you see. How many people have had the experience that I've had where they've been to a place like Tennessee State? So I literally have no cognitive biases because I've met so many flavors of the same thing.
Right.
He's had that new flavor in his ear, Will.
Exactly. I mean, and that's where I just kind of wish that we could do better. Like you said, something's better than nothing. I just think that the truest form of diversity is, the ability for people to, go into underserved and underrepresented populations to learn. And I'm just questioning and wondering if we're going to get those individuals into just different atmospheres. So basically, all that being said, we just got to get everybody powers that be to go to a historically black college. Basically,
but that's the difficult
Will's
thing.
Point, go ahead, Sean. I was going to say to Will's point, you have done some things like that where you've gone into. I mean, I saw you, Tony, and Cam was 2 years ago, pre-COVID. Y'all went into Compton and gave a clinic. It looked like just in a yard. So I feel like you've made some efforts to meet the people where they are to show them this game that we all love.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of stuff, dude, but I don't share it with people on social media. I don't. This is what I'm expected to do. I don't need to be patted on the back for it. Like, we're not supposed to get a pat on our back for being humane. That should be expected of each of us. And so,
Man, that's heavy.
That's it. I mean, this is my expectation. Look, at the end of the day, dude, our pancreas does the same thing. We all bleed the same. We have proteins, carbohydrates. We're made up of 3 gases. We're made up of stars that blew up 2 billion years ago. We have all these elements in our body. We have neuropath, but there's nothing that's different about us except what we've been taught. That's it. We don't even need to talk about equality because we're not even equal. We're the same. Like, right. That's totally different. So in biology, in the animal kingdom, LeBron James and I are not equal. We're not. When it comes down to it, no one in the NBA is almost equal to LeBron. But when it comes down to the rest of it, it's not even about equality. It's about recognizing that it's identical. Equal means equal to. Identical means exactly the same. So you see what I'm saying? I think the word is wrong.
I love that, Sean. I love that. But, hey, before we get you out of here, we're running a little deep. I know we got to get you back out to the course and see what's going on with you guys. Hey, I know you are a hip-hop buff, and I know you like some conscious rap. How I want to wrap this up, though, Sean. Your rap foursome, dead or alive, who you taking with you? It's Sean Foley and 3 other cats, and why?
Well, can it be 4 and I won't play with them? I'll just coach them.
That's fine. It's on you. Go ahead and do it. So you ain't been asked this question in golf media.
This list could be different in 20 minutes, by the way. Black Thought. Now, Black Thought is a better MC than Tiger was a golfer.
Absolutely.
Black Thought, Pasta News from De La Soul, Plug One, monster. Guru from Gangstar.
Yep.
And if I was to throw one from the young generation, probably be tough one, but Kendrick.
Huh. Hey, Doug, I know.
Kendrick's like a reverend.
He's a different stratosphere. But hey, so Sean, I hate to put you on the spot.
But then I think like Andre, and then I think Pharaoh Monk, and then I think Rakim, and I think Nazir. Like, can we have 144 in the field?
Right. Hey, Sean, I know. Before we go, I had to ask you, since you're such a hip hop connoisseur or what have you, what is your thoughts on the today's hip hop? Just give me a brief something about what's your thoughts on today's hip hop, man? Where do we stand? Is hip hop in trouble?
No. I don't think hip hop has always been strong. It's just we have to understand that, like, classical music as it's played today is the same as it was played. So hip hop is hip hop. Hip hop is completely separate. Hip hop is a culture. It is completely separate from trap music, and they might be subsidiaries, but not really. To me, when you listen to that song that Everyone Dies by J. Cole, he says, little whatever, just another short bus rapper. How's it feel standing next to 6'4" rappers? And so I think that when you look at what's going on, I mean, there's so many great MCs that stay independent because the companies are going to change their message too much. And so I really believe like hip hop is still alive. There's so many great MCs, but you got to remember, dude, it's kind of crazy. Like, you go to a party and there's a bunch of people who like absolutely devoutedly support Trump and they listen to Biggie and Tupac. It's like, so you know what I'm saying? So it's trippy to me. I'll leave it like this. When this country treats black people like they love black culture, it's a different day. It's a different day. I think who was it? Cole also said in that new Gangstar album on the song "Family and Loyalty," he says, "From hip hop to astronomy, they copied what we showed them."
I tell you what, that's a good period. That's a good period to end this episode, Sean. One thing I do want, you do know Will swings with his hands upside down, backwards, and cross-handed. Would you be open to doing a swing analysis for our very own Will Lowry?
What do you mean? You have?
Can we send you a vid of Will swing from down the line and face on and just get your take?
But the thing is, though, that's not crazy because basically players are putting torques and forces into the grip. So you just have to do it differently. So a guy who's going to play cross-handed, the last thing you're ever going to do is tell him to lean the shaft. He's going to have to feel like he's always hitting bunker shots. So there's so many ways to do it. If you're left hand low, you better be trying to flip it. So it's because there's principles. Because
I want that Foley take on it, though.
Yeah, I can't wait to come down. I can't wait to come down there, man. I'm ready. I want it.
Look, the golf swing is easy, guys. The golfer is difficult.
Well, that's it right there. You guys heard it here first. Golf swing's easy. It's the golfers that are difficult. Sean Foley, thank you so much for going beyond the fairway with Will Lowry and myself, man. We wish you peace, love, and everything that comes with that, dog. Appreciate your time, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
All right, guys. Peace.
Man, I tell you what, that's Sean Foley, man. Everybody knows him for the golf stuff, Will. You know what I'm saying? He's a philosophizer, man. I love talking to Sean. The sad part is when you do get a lesson from Sean, half this conversation that we just have is part of your lesson. You do get this intellectual point of view that you just don't see coming, man. Love that dude.
Man, the quote of the whole interview was, "There's only a few things in this world we should be emotional about, and it's certainly not our job."
You can say that when you teach golf.
No, but that's true though, man. I mean, what should be emotional about? I mean, if you're a doctor, or you're a surgeon in the trauma, yes. But anything outside of that, man, we just passing through, man. And I love how he put it, and it gives me a new light on some type of perspective. So,
yeah,
kudos to Sean Foley.
Yeah, shout out to Sean. Always shout out, man. But you know what's crazy to me and I enjoy? We didn't get to ask him, but I wanted to. It's like, Sean, when you were working with Tiger, did you have him read the autobiography of Malcom X? Like, I really wanted. I didn't get to get it in, but I wondered, like, because I know what that book kind of means to Sean, and
Right.
you heard him talk about, how he appreciates the life of Malcolm X and his enlightenment as he matured into a man. But I wondered if Tiger skimmed
Malcolm X. Yes.
You think he skimmed it? What do you think?
I mean,
you think he skimmed it just like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Tiger got past the first part where he left Nebraska, Malcolm X, and that's when he put the book down. I don't know,
like,
but I'm curious to know if he ever know the true plight of Malcolm. But
It's funny, man.
That's a whole nother conversation.
It was fun to get Sean kind of laughing a little bit, coaching in his b-boy stance,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He used to have that little camera he used to have with him, and he always stand. So yeah, you coaching your b-boy stance, Sean. I mean, it might not have been your week, but still, like.
Yeah, he's one of a kind in the Full House, man. I really admire. Anytime you're around him, man, you just kind of want to, stay with him, especially when you walk with his players, just see how he thinks and how he maneuvers and his thoughts. So, I mean,
Yeah.
he's just a great guy all around.
I don't know if he's more of a coach. I really think he's more of a expectation manager as well as just a energy sharer. It's like, you need some energy. Come here, get in here.
Yeah.
Let me give you.
Yeah.
You need a hug. You don't need no swing advice. You need a hug. Now go be great.
Right.
You go be great.
Shut up and go be great.
Right. But hey, what I thought was dope.
Fool.
But what I thought was dope was his rap foursome, man. Because, last week we had Jay in here. Jay Billis shut it down with us. Jay Billis was like, I want, Jay, 2 Chainz and Jeezy.
Right.
Different 4-ball from Sean Foley. He wants Black Thought, Paz News from De La Soul, Guru of Gangstar, and the great Kendrick Lamar.
And Black Thought, and it tells you can learn, and this is my opinion, you can learn a lot about a person in the movies, their top 5 movies, and you also can learn a lot about a person in their top 5 artists, no matter the music genre. Mm-hmm. And when he said Black Thought, and I don't know if anybody know Black Thought kills ciphers. We got to give a background what ciphers is. It's basically everybody freestyling, rapping in a group, and different people going back and forth. However, that's for my listeners who
that don't know what a cipher is. Yes.
Yeah, ciphers, right. So
it's like a rap battle without battling.
Yeah, exactly. But you're battling kind of unconsciously, cool. But the thing about it though is the fact that Black Thought is a true lyricist. So that tells you how Sean is in his love for music, for sure.
And for those that's not aware of Black Thought, is the leader of the band on Jimmy Fallon there on the Tonight Show. So go check him out if you're not familiar with the Roots crew. But anyway, man, Kendrick Lamar, I want to play with golf with Kendrick Lamar, man. He might be over my head too, though, with some lyrics and some conversation. But it's cool. We can go do it.
If we play with Kendrick, I just don't want to mess up his vibe. What's that song? Don't mess up my vibe. Something.
Please don't kill. Please don't kill.
Don't kill. Yeah, I don't want to kill his vibe.
I tell you whose vibe you won't kill, and that's Foley's, man. Shout out to Sean. Thank you so much for going beyond the fairway with Will and myself. But as you guys know, it's that time. It is that time. Will, you ready to get to it? It's the Shank of the Week.
Shank of the week.
You know what? My shank is really simple, man. I got 2.
You got dose? Shank of the week? Can we do dose? Can we
Yeah, I
dose
can
it
do
up?
dose. Because look at here. I'm not so excited about this one because look, Bryson DeChambeau, Lee Westwood coming down the stretch, paired again for the second week in a row on the PGA Tour. Bryson got his ass last week. Thought Lee was going to come through with the come through this weekend. Gets on the fourth hole. Bryson, I just don't expect Mr. Bill Nye, the Bryson DeChambeau guy, to like really not pull off a shot. I feel like when we watch Bryson with all of his air densities and his barometric pressure, I guess that's the same thing, and wind, all this crap, you expect Bryson to hit like whatever the hell shot that he thinks he can hit. I did not expect Bryson DeChambeau, after all of these calculations, to stand up on 4 and absolutely top dribble the ball into the water as he's trying to compete to win the Players' Championship. My mouth dropped.
Yeah.
And then he had the audacity to be like, heck, it can happen to anybody. No, it can't. Nobody does the math and all these other ancillary protocols to hit that ball as special as you do, Bryson. I don't expect you to hit it in the water. I don't appreciate you hitting it in the water. And then what did you do after that, Bryson? Okay, let's talk about it. You took a drop from 240. You could have hit 8-iron and had 108 yards into this hole. I'm just saying. But no, Bryson, not you. Not you. You decided to drop it. And then you hit a 4-iron, 90 yards off target. That could happen to anybody. I've done it. And put yourself in a precarious position where math couldn't save you, B. Couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. Then you chunk it out of the pine straw down below the green, get it onto the green, make 6. That 6 was deflating to a Bryson DeChambeau fan like myself, Will, because that 6 said, I don't know if this week's for you. So my primary shank of the week is going to Bryson DeChambeau for topping the ball into the water on 4. But I got to give it also to Brendan Todd, who actually hit a shank on maybe the most notable, easily recognizable hole in golf, the 17th Island Green at TPC Sawgrass. For all the people that know this hole, there's a tree about 30 degrees off target to that right side of the green pin. And Brendan Todd hit it right of it. It was a shank of the week. I thought that he hit it in the little tree island and was going to get, pontooned out to hit the shot, which would have been the best TV in the world. It would have been great. But, Mr. Todd, you hit a shank, and you deserve to be called out for it. So, there it is. Will, I'm done.
Man, the math did not save him.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
Bill Nye, the DeChambeau guy. It's just...
My shank of the week, and I'm joined by Miss Galena Hovland, as we stand together and provide shank of the week to Patrick Cantley and the winner, Justin Thomas.
Oh, you what?
Yeah, man, because for once, as me and Miss Hovland, we talked, not really, but we talked, we in spirit together, and we realized that Justin and Patrick didn't protect the field right. They didn't protect the field. There was a situation where Victor Hovland had a ball mark, removed his ball mark so Justin Thomas could make a putt, clear the pathway. Well, Justin nor Patrick reminded Victor that he needed to move his ball back. So therefore, we had the 2-2-2 scenario. Well, there was a 2-stroke penalty. He shot 2 under. And he ended up missing the cut by 2 strokes.
That sounds like 2-2.
So his mother called Victor and said, "Hey, baby, did you move your ball mark back?" And Victor was like, "What the hell you talking about, Mama?" Mama said, "Go check the tapes, baby." He went and checked the tapes, found out he was in the wrong, and found out that Patrick Cantley and Justin Thomas did not do their job and help protecting the field. So therefore, my shank of the week goes to Justin and Patrick Cantley, and me and Mom are standing in our B-boy stance like, what the hell? How'd you get my son disqualified? Or not disqualified, just missed the cut. So therefore,
you put the shank on the players.
A shank on the player, hell yeah, that's their fault.
Right. That's fair.
And Victor, I would have. And Victor,
is it snitching if your mom tells you something? Like, is
Nah.
she snitching?
Nah, I mean, she may be dry snitching, but she ain't
dry-
snitching.
They ain't snitching, but she snitched. Like, hey,
I mean,
first of all, I do
mean-
appreciate your Norwegian accent. Come on, baby. Like,
come on, that's Negro-Weasian, first and foremost.
Yes, it is.
That's no Norwegian, but yeah.
Big shout out to Sean Foley coming through, going beyond the fairway with Will and myself. We appreciate y'all for listening. As always, hey, be sure to download, subscribe, and listen. Share this with your people. Share this with your foursome, whomever. We want to know your rap foursome. We're going to keep that alive here on Beyond the Fairway. And you know what? Until next week, holla at you.
What Seth really needs is some colorful shoes to be crossed over and stopped. That's what he